And the reason why you are here today, okay, is because your friend is so excited that he or she just couldn't contain their excitement to share this piece of really cool information with every single one of you out here. All right. So my name is Raymond Peng here from Singapore. A little bit things about myself. I'm actually a serial entrepreneur over here in Singapore. So if you were to ask me what do I do for a living, I run actually more than 20 over businesses over here in Singapore and in Asia. All right. So I mean, most people who know me is like so they know that I run F&B business over here in Singapore. And yes, when you arrive in Singapore Changi Airport, yes, I got like 3 F&B restaurants over there. Yes, and if you were to ask me, hey Ray, so is F&B restaurant doing well right now? I believe that because right now we are all facing the pandemic, and yes, because Singapore Changi Airport has also been hit with the COVID. And what happens over here is like this. I think all the restaurants are actually being closed at the moment. But what happened is like this, because the government is actually doing a really, really good job out there because they want to ensure that the airport have to kick off the operation once again. I mean, this is not only happening over here in Singapore, yet whichever part of the country where you are, ask yourself this question. I am sure your country government is actually working their very best, okay, to ensure that the country is able to kick off in operation again. The reason why, okay, because if you were to take a look at what I have over here, the first question is, do you miss going for vacation or not? Correct or not? Because I think a lot of us has actually been locked down with more than 15 months, okay, in our country that we couldn't even travel. And even right now, I have to say one thing, things are getting better. The reason why, because a lot of countries out there, they're really working their diligent rights to ensure that everybody is able to get out of the country again. Okay, so I'm going to share a few tonight, okay, because if this is the first time you're listening to this, whether is it live or recorded version, okay, we are actually going to share on a very cool global travel platform. All right. So because as you can actually listen, when I actually want to share on this travel, you might be thinking, hey Raymond, you must be crazy. I'm going to share with you the next slide what I have over here. Okay. So because right now travel is actually at its all-time low. So when I actually share this, I think most of the people will be asking me, hey Raymond, you must be crazy sharing about travel right now. But I just want to share something because as a businessman myself, I always jump into opportunity when the opportunity is actually at the lowest state of time. Why do I say so? Because let's take for example, because another business that I run, I actually run Forex algorithm. I mean, my company actually helps the banks to trade. So my question is, would you actually enter at the lowest or would you actually enter at the highest? Because we all know that travel is the fifth biggest industry in this whole entire world. And we know one thing for sure, that the rebound of the travel related business would actually be there. And in fact, yesterday I just joined the South Africa Global Zoom call as well. Yes, and one of the South African leader over there, the top leader over there, his name is Sabelo Mahalela. And Mr. Sabelo actually mentioned something. This is definitely going to be the biggest rebound of the travel industry. Okay, why? Because it's actually at the all-time low. Okay, and this time round, when it rebound, it's going to be definitely the highest rebound that we are all going to face. Okay, because people will definitely travel the world again. Okay, whether is it on the business or whether is it on vacation basis mode. Okay, because where I am actually situated over here in Singapore, okay, I have to say, Singapore has no natural resources. And if you are even from overseas, you all know that Singapore is actually a very, very small country that depend very heavily on the tourism industry. Okay, so I mean that's where we have gotten things like so-called the best seaport, the best airport, and a lot of attraction, which a lot of people from all around the world very much wish to travel into Singapore as well. I mean, nevertheless, I mean, whichever countries that you are actually located right now, many people from all around the world would wish to enter into your country, correct or not? And because of this tourism industry, when it starts to move in operation, that's where the economy will flourish again. Agree or not? So see, the thing is that you must be thinking, hey, I mean, Raymond, I mean, I totally understand what you're talking. Okay, but the thing is like this. I mean, so what are you trying to share for tonight? Okay, so my question is, do you want to participate and get a slice of this pie? That's my question to you. All right. So I'm going to share with you. Of course, you know, okay, that travel things are getting better. Of course, a lot of people have heard about the Phuket Sandbox project. Okay. Of course, some people might be asking me things like, hey, Raymond, there's no definite opening of Phuket yet at this moment. But in fact, okay, last night, okay, from the Thai newspaper, in fact, the Prime Minister has actually announced, okay, that they would wish to go into full-fledged in operation for tourism to come in within the next 120 days. And that is his goal to his country people, okay? And I believe wherever you are, same thing again, I believe your government is actually definitely working on this as well. So as you can see, direct flights are starting to get into Phuket as well. All right. So I'm going to share with you like so-called more of this thing, how it's going to comes out much more exciting. So you see, the thing is like you might be thinking, hey, it's like, do you want a piece of this travel industry and how much do you want to invest, okay, to ride on the wave of the rebound of this industry? I mean, I believe a lot of you who are actually listening to this call right now, okay, some of you are probably already businessmen in this call, okay, but there's some of you who might be thinking, it's like, hey, I've been working for so many years in my life. I wish that I could actually step out, okay, and I want to run a business. But many of them, when people want to step out, a lot of things actually hold them back. First thing first is always the capital layout, the money, okay? So usually, it's like when I open up a restaurant business over here in Singapore, okay? In Singapore Changi Airport, just to share with you, one of the restaurant that I paid almost close to like $80,000 for a month rental, and that's somewhere around like 70,000 US dollar I'm talking about. And before I start my business, I need to put in like 6 months of rental deposit, okay? And that's how they charge for CAG. But I'm going to share with you. So the thing is like a lot of things comes into things like capital layout. You need to go into the operation of your staffing. You need to have the licenses as well. And even if today I knew that travel is a huge industry, I want a piece of the pie because right now, as I have mentioned earlier on, travel is at its lowest. So while it's at its lowest, I want to take this opportunity right now to ride on it for the highest rebound, like what Mr. Sabelo Mahalela from South Africa has mentioned yesterday on his call. Okay, so how do I actually do that? So today, I want to share with you this really cool opportunity, okay, which your friend also wanted you to listen to what he or she is actually participating right now. And I actually chanced upon this opportunity somewhere around like in the year of 2019, okay, in November. Okay, so I get associated with a very good big brother of mine. His name is James Lee. It's like so how I get connected with James Lee. He's coming out in the call later. Okay, so me and James Lee, in fact, we get connected through a travel club in the past. Why do I actually join a travel club like yourself? Because I want to get good deals from travel. Okay, so that was actually a US company that we actually joined in the past. It's like so-called long story short. That's how I get to know James Lee. And then when I get to know James, okay, we get connected together, and he actually built a team with more than 1 million people in his organization. All right. But one cool thing is like this, because when he brought the concept over to Singapore, nobody actually believed him, okay? But there's one particular gentleman who actually supported him, and that's actually Dr. James, okay? So Dr. James Sell owns this company called OMT Group of Companies. So Dr. James is in fact in the travel industry. He's a big guy. He's a veteran in the travel industry, yes, for more than 3 decades. So he runs this company called OMT Travel, okay? So he's not like a travel company that most people are running, okay? In fact, he is actually a wholesaler, okay? So as a wholesaler, what can he do? Okay, in fact, he provides a lot of travel packages to all the travel companies out there, even to the Singapore government as well, and even, okay, to all this OTA, like if you heard of trip.com, okay, trip.com, yes, and he even provide like so-called all these travel packages. So I actually got this opportunity because why? Because Dr. James actually provide, okay, for the previous company that we used to join in a travel club, more than 10,000 trips in a year. I'm talking about more than 10,000 trips in a year. That's really amazing. Okay, so when we, that's how he actually supported my big brother James Lee. Okay, so James actually got supported from Dr. James, and that's how, yes, the double J. Okay, and that's how they get connected. And see, the thing is like, what happened is like somewhere around in 2019 November, because Dr. James himself, okay, he is actually Singaporean, but he reside in Phuket for more than 20 years. So while he actually came back to Singapore, yeah, because he has family over here, and when he came back to Singapore, so we got a catch up over a coffee. I remember we had the coffee together, and when Dr. James was sharing things like this, it's like, hey guys, there's a lot of companies who are actually coming to us going through this thing, what we call the blockchain technology. And he asked me, Ray, I mean, I know that you are actually in the Forex industry. I mean, it's like, how well do you know about blockchain? To be really honest, I know nothing about blockchain. Okay, because for me, when it comes to blockchain, I always have this misconception that I actually connect that into cryptocurrency. So I thought that it could be probably another Bitcoin buy low, sell high, Ethereum buy low, sell high. And I was like, hey, I mean, I'm doing so well in my Forex. I mean, why should I be participating in another program to do a buy low, sell high kind of things? But when I start to know in depth from Dr. James, like what this whole entire blockchain technology is all about, is to connect the whole entire travel industry people where we can actually write on to get the best price and connecting through the blockchain. And when I heard this, it was pretty much mind blowing. And that's where we actually built out our phase one called the CYTT digital asset. So maybe long story short, because that's actually our phase one, but we are still doing it right now. So even if now you want to know how to do and buy your CYTT digital asset, not a problem. But maybe just let me give you a little bit highlight what this thing is all about. So we will actually launch in August 2020. Okay, that's like so-called somewhere around like last year in the August, 1st of August. We will actually launch at the price of 14 cents. Okay, 0.14 USDT. That's what we call the US dollar theta. Okay, so it was launched at 0.14. I mean, it was really exciting. And guess what happened? I mean, right now, even at this COVID period, okay, people are not traveling at all. Flights are not flying out. There's no hotel at all. And guess what happened? In fact, the price actually escalate up to 0.383 cents. That's like 170% net increase that we are talking about. Okay, even though we are not even traveling. Okay. And I mean, it's like so-called, what happened if the travel border is going to open? Can you imagine what kind of price is it going to be escalating at a point of time? I don't know. Okay. But this is what I'm actually looking at. Okay, so this is actually a phase where we actually have owned our this CYTT digital asset, and that's actually a procedure where you can actually build up and multiply your digital asset. Long story short, it could actually generate you 42% net in a year. Okay, so what can you do with your CYTT? You can actually exchange it for travel packages. You can actually sell it. Okay, I mean, of course, some people be asking, hey, Raymond, will there be more people buying? Okay, yes, definitely. See, the thing is like right now, yes, probably there will be people thinking things like, hey, Raymond, you must be crazy to talk about travel. But when the travel is open up, trust me for sure, a lot of people will be getting CYTT. And while you are actually owning CYTT right now, you'll be thankful that you actually got your CYTT, multiply it at this lowest point of time. Because while you can't do anything at this moment, the company is actually helping you to generate, okay, the CYTT up to 42% in a year. So we're actually building a base of co-builders, believer, and supporter, okay, together that owns this digital asset to put it up on the blockchain for travel, okay? But one proud thing that I'd just like to share, in fact, even during this whole entire period of time, we have actually built up with more than 55,000 global users, okay, at this moment, which is pretty cool, okay? And I was always thinking, yes, because now it's at its lowest, we are always looking for visionaries. Visionaries are people who actually see things before things happen, correct or not? But I somehow rather, I think that this is actually a pretty no-brainer thing. Why? Because some people be asking me, hey, Raymond, I'm in the site so-called, are there any trips right now? I mean, I can do trips for you, not a problem, okay? But your government cannot allow you to go for a trip, okay? So why not at this moment, okay? Let's build up this travel asset together. And then when it's time to open up, not to worry, OMT Group will be putting up a lot of staycation, a lot of trips out there for every one of you to use your CYTT digital asset. So that's phase one. But I'm actually more excited. Why? Because right now we are actually going into our consumer phase for phase two. See, when I actually share with a lot of my friends on this phase one, cryptocurrency, blockchain, a lot of my friends, it's like they shut their door off. I mean, some of them probably, there's two kind of people in this world. It's always the 80-20 rule. Some people, they're happy. I get my monthly salary. I'm a happy man. I can spend my money. Okay, but some people wanted something more. I want to know how I can actually build up, okay, and build up my whole entire wealth management asset. Okay, so right now, consumer phase is simple because basically we are actually building this whole entire consumer phase where you can, okay, actually give, okay, this very cool referral link to many of your friends out there. And when they spend and you're able to earn through the blockchain technology. I mean, of course, I'm going to share a few much more later. Okay, this is really so exciting, but I want to invite one really cool gentleman up. As I mentioned earlier on, okay, his name is James Lee. I have actually got associated with him for more than 8 years. He's always like a big brother to me. I mean, we traveled to many, many countries together. I think one of the best trips that I actually went with him was in Egypt. But this man is phenomenal. In fact, what happened is like he traveled to more than 100 over places in 8 years. I mean, that's pretty insanity, correct or not? And yes, he has actually built a team, okay, with all the global leaders. I would say things like, so he has actually built a team with more than 1 million people. He's also the receiver for Sword of Honor, okay, because he is actually in the Singapore Navy, okay, in the past. I mean, it's like so-called, he was a naval officer, and he actually received the Sword of Honor from the President of Singapore as well. And that's only like so-called 1 year, there's only a couple of people who were able to receive this highest honor. I mean, it's like so-called, he's like a big brother to me. I mean, we went to the gym together. He always motivated me so much. I mean, at this point of time, when they actually share this opportunity with me, I just told James, and I told Dr. James as well, that I want to be part of it. Okay, because I knew that these two men, when they combine together, a lot of amazing things will happen. And what I want to do is like so-called, I do not want to miss the boat. I want to jump into the opportunity. So long story short, okay, I'm going to invite my big brother James Lee out to share with every single one of you what this consumer phase is all about. I knew that right now, because we are all living in the digital world, okay, because we cannot meet up yet. I wish I could touch you guys as well. Okay, we have a chat room, and let us all welcome James Lee into the call. Hi, big bro.
All right. All right,
Hey,
Raymond. Thank
brother.
you. Thanks,
Hey,
Raymond,
okay, so
for giving
excited.
us for giving us such a great introduction. And also
Thank you.
welcome everyone for showing up, for being here this evening, right here in Singapore, and for anywhere in the world that you are from, welcome. And of course, if you are looking at this at a recording, and if this is the first time that you're actually watching, getting this information, really, this is something that I have to say that despite that we are in the midst of a pandemic, but we are here to create something into the post-pandemic phase whereby we could actually kind of reap the whole entire benefit of the travel industry, how we can ride that wave, even if we are not in the travel space. If you are already in the travel industry, all the more you should look at this, right? So, but I think it's really like what Raymond has shared with all of us earlier. How we have actually got connected is really because of this opportunity about 8 to 10 years ago, where we actually get connected through this travel club. And I have to say, really thanks to Dr. James himself. Without him, I would not be able to grow this consumer base around Asia, eventually around the world, of more than 1 million, with all the incredible leaders, people from all over the world, visionaries catching on the vision. Because in the beginning, which is back in 2010, literally, we have nothing in Asia. There's no trips, nothing that we could actually showcase to people the value and the whole entire idea of created trips. So what happened was Dr. James himself, because being a wholesale supplier, he has all the resources and assets and technical know-how of creating memorable trips and experience for the people. And that's how we actually create, and people instantly saw the value. And that's how we actually could create from literally nothing in Asia. And then we created literally tens of thousands of trips that people could actually see, that they can experience it. And that's how we have eventually grown that whole entire user base. So back in 2019, when he told us that he wants to build into the future for the travel. And in fact, at that time when we said this, of course, nobody would anticipate that the COVID would have struck the world, right? So, but nonetheless, the whole vision of that is that literally to ride on the whole entire blockchain growth because of the availability of technology, ability to decentralize the whole entire platform whereby people could have all that transaction happening, especially over the last 1.5 years or so. More and more people, and all thanks to COVID as well, people are more exposed to cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and more government bodies all around the world are catching on this as well. So I have to say that we are really in a good timing right now because we are actually building this foundation. Now, when Dr. James told us about creating the blockchain for the travel industry, what you see on the screen here is phase one, where people actually own the digital assets. Now, not necessarily we're talking about cryptocurrency here. This is the digital asset whereby we literally could use it as a basis of transaction. And with that transaction, we actually open up the second phase, which is actually the consumer phase. The consumer phase is the outreach of getting to the consumer. Now, we are not there yet, but we are actually preparing this platform. And very soon, we are going to see how this consumer app is going to go out there and capture our consumer base. This whole entire consumer base, once it's captured, the early adopters, which is people who actually own the digital asset, will then at the third phase connect into our blockchain. So that is where the massive action we're going to start. So now we are into the second phase, which is, if you catch on right now, we need two groups of people to actually help us to grow this consumer base. Now, who are these two groups of people? These two groups of people are actually the agents and the representative. Now, this is very different from how we used to do it and what we have been building over the last 10 years before, where we are actually building the membership club, a travel club whereby people have to pay monthly subscription, people have to pay a joining fee or whatever. Nothing like that. People actually right here in the consumer phase, they have free download, free sign up. They can actually get access to this whole entire app once it's ready. As a consumer, they were going to see all these created trips. Now, why I want to actually emphasize on all these created trips is that today, even if you were to scout around and see that there's a lot of more and more people are catching on the OTAs, the online booking engines where they book hotels, they book flight tickets and all that stuff, or B&B, right? Airbnb. All this, they are basically just talking about just a property that they actually booked for the stay, right? But we are not talking about created trips. Created trips will means that it includes all the services and all this experiential, capability whereby people receive you from the airport transfers and all that services and bringing you to all the places of interest, the lunch and dinners and all that. Everything all created for you. All right. So that is actually something that out there in the market today, we don't see that a platform at this point. So we actually, together with OMT Group, I have to say, with this consumer app, is literally without any joining fee, people could actually download and look at all the exciting experiential trips where they can get great experiences. And then when they actually booked it, said that's a consumer, nothing to do with the agent or representative. Now, of course, at this point, the company could just push it out to the market, and then they could actually get directly involved of all the consumers. But the thing is, now an opportunity for all of us out here is that we can become part of it to help them grow this entire base of consumer. All right. And that is actually the agents and the representative. We are here to actually help them in this initial phase to grow this consumer base. Now, what is the benefit? Of course, people will say, so what is in it for us if you are looking at this? Now, this call here is not to ask you to become a consumer. This call is asking all of us, looking out for anyone who see the potential of what we are actually creating here, what we are actually building, okay? So what's the benefit? As an agent, you actually, the first thing first, you get 8% of any of your direct connected consumer base of all their spending, of all these created packages, trips that they actually make booking on the app itself. So what do you mean by the 8%? Literally, it's any of this consumer who actually book a trip. whatever price that they see there, and then you will get an 8%. Now, of course, is this very competitive? Of course, because OMT Group themselves, they are wholesale supplier, travel supplier. So when they actually supply to all the retail travel agents out there, all the travel agents, because they have their own overheads, they have to mark it up and further so that they can actually profit from that margin. And that actually, usually it's about 15, 20, 25%, even 30%, right? Depending on what is their operation size, how much they actually have to factor in for their own margin. But right here, we are talking about, because of this consumer app that go directly into the consumer market, and being a wholesale supplier, and we are the one who actually connect the consumer, we actually get direct of that 8% of that consumer base. So that is already in itself a very, very attractive for anyone who actually see that ability to connect the consumer to the platform, and we can actually benefit at 8%. Okay. Now, of course, out there, because of this pandemic, a lot of travel companies, retail companies, or whatever, they might actually have a lot of cutback. Even when we actually open up the borders, they may actually see this as a very, very good, powerful collaboration or platform, a collaborative effort. We can work together, and they can come on board and actually connect the consumer as well. And without any of the other overheads that it will have to cost in, factor in the rental, operation costs, all that, they could actually ride on this technology and how we actually built on this. Okay, so this 8%, and on top of that, if you build a network of these agents as well, you can override a 2%. Now, this is actually not a multi-tier, multi-level. This is just on a 2-tier structure. All right, so it's very, very simple and straightforward. And not only that, you can also build a referral representative network as well, representative network as well. So that is actually a 3% override. Okay, so understanding of that, and any of this agent, when they come in, when they pay a fee. Now that's the good news here. You get a one-time 10%. And from now until 3rd of July, you get another bonus of 10% as well. So effectively, during this period, you get a 20% of that agent fee that the agent actually paid. All right, so not too bad, right? So this is pretty, pretty exciting. We are creating this opportunity for anyone out there who actually built on this network, prepare for the rebound of the travel industry, and you can actually benefit by making extra, income source as well. All right, not just that, once you actually pay for that agent fee, all right, you also will actually get a 3 times 4-day 3 nights packages that you could actually go yourself as well. All right, that's provided you are paying by cash only. And why do I have to say by cash only? Because there is an option that you could actually use the digital asset. So that's where we are actually looking at this whole entire ability, how we can actually arrange that. But of course, being an agent, this is the percentage. Being the rep, of course, the structure is the same, but the lower entry point, but at the same time, the percentage is actually lower as well, all right, as a rep. So the structure is the same. It's not a multi-tier, multi-level. Basically, you get 5% instead of 8% on all your direct consumer that you connect. So remember, this is not getting people to join a membership or whatever, then you get paid. This is literally getting out there to any consumer out there where they just freely download that application that you connect with your own link, and then they are able to actually connect to you as your consumer. And as this consumer refer other friends or contacts or people and download that through their links. And because they are not an agent or a rep, they are still considered as your direct consumer base. So this could actually grow to quite a substantial number of this amount of consumer base as well. Okay, so we are looking at literally the 5% as a direct, and then you build a network of agents. As a rep, you can build an agent network as well. You will override a 2%. If you build a representative network, you will override a 2% as well. And also at the same time, because of the fee that you're collecting, you will be able to actually collect a 10%. And during this period until 3rd of July, you get a bonus of another additional 10%. Okay, so the trip here, you get, instead of 3, you get 2 trips. All right, over here, if you are a representative rights. Okay. So of course, looking at that, all these benefits, just based on the percentages, many of us will be thinking, so what are you actually talking about, James? How does this work? What kind of potential are we talking about here? So very, very quickly, what I'll do is I'm going to share with all of you a screen where I will actually use this Excel spreadsheet to actually show you guys. Can you guys see the sharing of the screen? Okay. So if you can see that, you can see right here on the top right corner, this is a table that just to reflect that these percentages, as I said earlier, is just all these percentages given out through the created trip packages. We will actually add on this platform itself. There's going to be like booking engine, retail merchants, restaurants, and all that stuff. The percentages are not factored in here because it varies, right? So it depends on the whole entire so-called the deal strike between the platform and all the merchants out there. So all these percentages may vary, all right, maybe more or less, right? But what we know here is directly from all the created trips, these are the fixed percentages. Why? Because this is directly provided by OMT groups of companies that they can actually all around the world that they have been doing all these created trips for more than a few decades, right? So they could actually create all these trips. Now, for us as an agent or a representative, the beauty of it is that we don't need that technical know-how. We don't need to actually put in all that high amount of running costs, operation costs and everything. So all we need to do is actually connect to that consumer base. When we do that, now take an example here, right? Right here, if you're an agent or a rep, so if today you are just, let's say you are agent, okay? If you committed to become an agent or a representative, I don't think any one of us will just become an agent or a rep and then just go out there and connect 10 or 20 people, right? We want to go out there and literally connect to hundreds, if not thousands of consumer base. Am I correct? I mean, if today, like what Raymond, he actually opened a restaurant, he won't be just looking at serving just that 10 or 20 customers, even talking about a single day, right? We are talking about literally how do we actually outreach, and the perfect way to put it is that this is literally a global business for all of us as well. So this is not restricted to just, let's say I'm from Singapore. It's not just for Singapore consumer, that literally cross-border around the world, okay? So if today, if you're looking at this is actually a spreadsheet that actually help us to see the significance of what is that potential that we are talking about right here, okay? So let's say we are looking at, today I'm an agent, okay? How many customers or consumer do you think you are going to go out there and create? We have chat group here. You can put in a number that you can actually decide for yourself. I mean, for me, if I were to actually share with people, in fact, I talk to a lot of people, some of them even tell me if within the first year, he will go out or she will go out there and bring in 3,000, right? I mean, this is, again, is not just your personal effort. What do I mean by that? You send out a link to these people as they actually logged in and see all the pricing, the services and all that is actually put there to attract them to actually want to actually go on a vacation at a great deal and great pricing and great services and all. I mean, why I could say that is because 10 years ago or almost 11 years now, when we actually first built that from nothing, all right? From Dr. James, when he told me, when we literally have nobody at that time, he just said that, okay, I'm going to create some trips for you guys, get some people on the trips, and then they are going to go there, experience it, and they will come back for more, and they're going to bring more people. And then little that we know that as we actually start building that and growing that from literally just one trip with less than about 20 plus people, and then we had a second one with about 50 over people, and then the third trip with 100 over people. And then as it keeps expanding, and that's how we actually grew to over 1 million customers, over a 6 to 5, almost 6 years period, right? So that's how actually this is so significant as you see this. So when you actually talk about this consumer base, as we actually reach out, I don't know, what do you think? I mean, some of you, I'm sure you guys have already put in some figures here. Thank you. People have been putting in, like Sydney, you put in 500, Joey 300, Raymond, you said 300 or 500 here. Okay, but let's just put very conservatively going on the low number here. I'll just look at it and say, it's okay, let's just plunge in the 300. And we're not even talking about having other rep networks or agent networks that you start building as well. And with that, this 300 consumer, of course, per year, let's say this is still in the midst of pandemic, people can't travel much yet, but as it slowly open up, what do you think people are going to start spending on? Out of that 300, there are people maybe spend a couple of hundred, there may be a couple of thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how much they want to spend and how big is their group and everything. Am I correct? So based on that, just that application that they download and they see all these trips all around the world that is offered to them and open up to them, as they actually spend, can I averagely say, put here as maybe they spend about $800 a year, right? In the next 1 year or whatever, as the pandemic, all the borders open and people start traveling again, averagely out of the 300, we say they spend about $800. When they spend about $800 average, right? We are literally talking about the override of the 8% is already about $19,000. And this is actually literally extra income that you are actually looking at when the travel start to get the rebound. And that's why we call this the capturing of the rebound of the travel industry, of the travel market. I mean, the travel market is definitely going to happen. People are going to start traveling again. And that's where we are now positioning ourselves. Before that happened, we want to build this whole entire base ready to, like, literally we are weaving the net. We are just creating this whole entire platform so that when the borders start to open, and we want to capture that. So as that happens, you can already see. Now, of course, this is just based on your own effort. Now, your own pure effort, as you actually go out there and share with a couple of people and things like that, I will have to say, in our last 10 years, personally, I shared with like literally a lot of people. And, over a 7-8 years period, personally, I referred people who want to join me to do it was about almost 107 or something like that, or 108. All right. People want to say they want to do it. But the thing is, that is a lot, right? Even if right here we talk about like the agents, let's say we only have 3 of them who say they want to do just like you, because they have to actually come in and become an agent rights and go out there and start building something, build their consumer base. Let's say just 3. What about the representative, lower entry point and whatever? And let's say there's about, I don't know, double 6. With that, do you think they're going to grow in the first year just like you? Some may do more, some may do less. We don't know. Let's average that out and say that they do less than you. Okay, so they do 280. And this also 280. All right. They may do even more. There might be people who actually put in the first year 600. Again, earlier on, like I said, some of you, like Sydney, you say 500, right? I'm just very conservative and just put in 280 for all this and average that out. And they all spend $800 as well. The consumer average out. We literally can see the entire revenue or your own potential income source actually kind of ballooned from that 19,000 to 72, right? So this is literally talking about consumer now consuming this travel activity. They're going out there, traveling the world and getting back on that track. And we are talking about that's very conservative, 300, average out spending 800. I mean, if you think back before COVID strike, when the travel is booming and everything, who spend only 800 a year, right? Most people spend more than that. But this business is not just talking about within the next 1 year. So as this start to grow and build on and grow up, right? So that 300 can easily grow and literally just on its own, organically, it might just grow to double to 500 or 600 or 800. Right? Let's say we give a 3 to 5 years time, right? As you build this as a long-term, casting your net, weaving your net and going out there and build this consumer base. The next 3 to 5 years, COVID would by long past us by that time. So this 3 to 5 years, that 300 consumer could easily then just grow to, I don't know, it could be even, let's say go to 1,000. I don't know if you want to 1,000, but let's say you go to 1,000 consumer base. I mean, I tell you, this is just going to be ridiculous amount of for the effort that you put in today, and then you grow that. And this is going to be so incredible. Out of the 6, next 3 to 5 years, even if you just grow another, just 10 of that, and this is just 5. And this 3 to 5 years, they each also grow to, let's say they just do half of what you do. Okay? This is ridiculous. All right. And can you see the potential of what you're actually building right now? All right. And that per person of that download average of 800, I would say that easily that's going to go at least to, let's say, just double that. That is actually, okay, just 1,005. All right. So you can literally see once this actually we create this is going to just be so incredible. We are just building something into that and riding on that wave as we catch on. We're not doing something radically different. So this is actually just talking about very basic kind of travel component, whereby now all of us look at this as very simple, but the back end is not simple. Dr. James, his company and all those, they have put in literally millions of dollars to develop this whole entire connectivity up for all his operations in 20 over markets, right? So how do we actually create that and then outreach to the global market? And all of us, we are just plugging into the system and then allowing this to actually plug in so that we can benefit. And he opened up this to all of us as pioneers, visionaries, people, the believers, to actually want to come in and build this together. But most importantly, this is not the end game. The end game is the blockchain with our digital assets, how we connect up and all that, which is building at the back end. So now this is really something that I hope you guys can catch that vision with us as we actually kind of build this foundation right now. I mean, this is actually kind of like a challenging time because people can't see the future of it at this point because people are locked down. People are not traveling. They can't travel at this point. But nobody will actually dispute the fact that when the border open and if they actually in the midst of this and build this right at the beginning, they actually have this whole entire platform in their hand, they would actually make money. So that's why this is actually so significant that any one of us need to understand this, okay? So once you understand this, let me just go back to the slides. I want to show all of us, basically, what you can anticipate, what you can see here. And of course, the very immediate question is, okay, I get it, I see the potential and all that. So James, how much does this cost for agent to become an agent, right? For someone to become an agent, right? Or a representative. So if you look at the potential of this, this is literally talking about tens of millions of dollars of business that literally can stretch through your entire, in your lifetime. Why? Because once this agent rights is set up, this whole entire platform is set up, this whole ongoing of travel, it's happening. Nobody can stop that, unless another COVID strike. But even then, it's going to be over. Once it's over, the whole entire travel is going to come back again. So that's why the travel industry will never die. The travel industry has been around for thousands of years, right? So literally, we are just catching on to that basis and grow this business and this platform and ride on the technology. Okay. So with that potential, what do you think it's going to cost us as an agent? Now, of course, this figure that shows up, I don't know what's your take on it. All right. It's 15,000 US dollars. All right. Now, of course, today in the days and age now, if you want to start a business brand new, all right, I think you can't even put in a 15,000 and then want to start, and especially be able to create this such a massive, so-called returns of your investment. All right. So this is 15,000. But the good news right now is all of us, we are not looking at that at this point. This is a promotional offer price right now today at 6,655 and until the 3rd of July. Okay. So, but of course, the value of this agent rights, it's at 15,000. So it's not going to stop at 6,655. So because every single month there will be a 10% increment, all right, until it reaches that 15,000. So now if you today could become an agent, all right, you pay 6,655, all right, and as an agent, there is a limit. So once the limit is done, you can't be an agent anymore. You can only become a representative. So every country there is a per agent rights that is locked in. All right. So of course, people who actually understand it, they want to get it first. If they want it later, the price starts to go up, they have to pay a higher price. So as we actually moved on, as you understand this is actually something that, of course, is your decision. All right. For me, myself, like Raymond, a lot of us, we already got our agent rights. Why? Because we saw the potential of how we can actually build this and capture on that travel rebound and also the growth of the travel industry. So of course, there is an option here that you could actually use about 17,376 CYTT instead of paying cash. You could actually do that. The person who actually invited you, if they already have CYTT, you can reach out to them. You can purchase their CYTT and use CYTT if you want, right? But nonetheless, if you want, you can also use, of course, the company will collect the cash, and once you pay by cash, you get the trips. If you actually get the by CYTT and all that stuff, you don't get the trips, right? So, but I think it's here is actually talking about how do you actually become an agent. But of course, as a rep, the same thing, the value of the rep is at 8,000 right here. All right. Today you actually paid 3,993. All right. So 10% increment every single month is the same thing until it reached 8,000. Okay. Now, compared to the agent, there is a limit to that. Rep rights doesn't have this limit, so it's unlimited. You can actually ongoing. All right, so literally we're talking about this rights. If agent or rep rights is not just bound to your own country. Literally, as an agent or rep, you could actually sign up other agents or reps and also consumers globally. All right, so you can actually do this a global scale. But only one thing to note: as an agent, we cannot sign other agents in China. We can sign internationally, but not in China. But we can sign representative and also consumer in China. Okay, as an agent, you can do that. As a rep, same thing. You can actually sign. You can't sign an agent in China, but you can actually sign representative or consumer in China. All right. But same thing, people in China, they are agents in China. They couldn't sign agents internationally. They can sign reps and consumer internationally. So it's crossing, it's vice versa. All right. So with rep, it's unlimited. Right here, you can also use CYTT if you want. All right. But again, if you use cash, you get all the cash benefits of the percentages. As in, if someone actually get paid using cash, you will be able to get that 10 plus 10% up to this July 3rd. Okay, so if you use CYTT, of course, you won't be able to get any. But of course, if people pay using CYTT, they will actually buy the CYTT off you anyway. So you would already have make your commissions or your dole or whatever you want to call it, right? So, but I think it's once you understand this is the basis of creating that whole entire agent or the rep. Basically, just remember you are actually getting in to become having right on this platform so that we can actually capture on this whole entire growth of this travel industry, of the consumers, and everything. And this is not even talking about the back end connecting into the blockchain for the travel industry. Okay, so this is just purely on the consumer, outreach to the consumer and getting that so-called riding on the travel growth. All right. So at this point, we haven't opened up on that whole entire app yet. All right. So some of us, if you are already an agent or rep, you have already downloaded, building that infrastructure, and all that. In fact, the company later on, I'm going to show something new for all of you. You can take a look. But before that, let me just show you a quick mock-up so you understand the whole entire mechanism, what this consumer app is able to do and execute as well. All right, so let me just share this screen for you guys very quickly, just to at least you can take a look at what is that functionality, what is that actually going to work. Okay, as you send out the link for free to any of this consumer, once they actually log in, they register, they logged in, they register here and they logged in. All right, you can actually see inside the app, this is actually not like a typical booking engine where they book a hotel rooms, or different places or hotel rooms, or just flights. We do have that capability as well, but the focus here is really, like I said earlier, is the created trips, that the experience that people will get out of that. So you can see right here at this bottom, you can see that they will actually write down the whole entire itineraries, right? The day one, the day two, what do you do and what do you get, and where do you stay, and what are the itineraries of different like cocktail parties, and massage, or what different things, right? So they actually create the whole entire thing. This is actually really good for any individuals who doesn't want to take so much time researching and planning and everything, because we let the expert do everything for us. And there's also this community base out there. They can comment on it. You can actually invite people that actually look at this trip. If you like it, you might invite your friends to come along as well. They can download the app. That's how it can actually literally go viral as well. So over here, you can click on the so-called support. You have live chat, live support here. You click on order. Of course, you can make order and purchases of the whole entire trip out there. And now this is actually anyone who doesn't even have any digital asset or whatever. They could actually use their credit card to or payment system and all that to make payment directly. Okay. And inside this app, not just that, because like I said, we have built a community out there. They explore, right? So this whole thing with a vlog, you have a whole following of people following you. You have a vlog here, whereby you click in, you can actually kind of like journal down where you like, what you do, and all that stuff. You build a following here as well. All right. There's also a live broadcast channel. So this is actually really all this system is out there for people to be able to record and then even to post it live for people. There's check-in to different places that people go and all that stuff. Then of course this whole entire platform. So you can see that inside here, there's also this ability to transfer their digital asset right here. So that is the connection point. How do we actually connect eventually to the whole entire blockchain system? So we have our own stable coin here that they can actually make the payment and all that stuff. Okay, so there's a lot of functionalities as the company actually start building on and growing and finalizing a lot of all these features, right? In fact, right now we can't travel at this point, but this is the time to actually establish this whole entire platform and this channel. Okay, so in fact, if I were to come back to this PowerPoint, all right. Now, there's some updates right here. Okay, so this is actually just hot out of the oven for all of us, right? If you're looking at this today, there's going to be a new YouTube UI, which is in progress right now. We're building. We're going to be able to show you some in a while and shortly, right? So this app is actually going to be put up, of course, in the App Store, and the Play Store, Google Play Store, and everything. There's going to be a master prepaid card actually being launched very, very shortly, and integrating of the whole entire payment gateway and all that is all in the pipeline right now. Okay, so what is going to be ready, and by now, in fact, if you look through this whole entire chart, this is really for people who have actually been asking as well. So that the company actually have put in all this work, relentlessly during this period as well, to create this whole entire thing. But really more significant is that by end June, which is right now, we are talking about the whole entire explore section that we saw earlier on, where this whole community base, and all that stuff is all going to be live, right? So then on top of that, we are looking at by July, you have the live streaming and also the vlog and all that stuff will all be actually loaded up into that as well. And on top of that, there's going to be a wallet that is going to transfer of the stable token and stable coin and all that stuff. People who doesn't know anything about this digital asset, don't worry, they can actually use their credit card to make payment. But people with digital asset, that is where this is really exciting. It is like a melting pot that actually ties in the whole entire ecosystem so that we can actually get outreach to even more people. Now, are you guys ready for some sneak preview of the latest, this whole entire, the user interface, right? The updated, there's all these functionalities, you can see here. Of course, this is that static, I'm not the mock-up like before, but this is actually a static, a very quick preview, the booking, and all the different trips, you can click onto all these different itineraries and different groups, all right? You can see the live streaming portal as well, right? You can actually interact with people who are following you. You can actually do that as well. And on top of that, you can look at all the assets. You can actually exchange. There's an exchange inside as well. How do you actually make withdrawals? There's this whole prepaid card system that is loaded up as well. You can actually put in, like I said, the blog where you actually have your own journals. You can put it up, feeding into your whole entire community and build your community base and all that stuff. All right. So earlier on, this is actually something pretty cool because you actually have a prepaid card system. You can load up, all this stable coin into this whole entire, into your fiat and everything, which you can then, of course, go out and use it or purchases with merchants and different things. All right. So this is really something that I would have to say that we are really at the pioneering stage of this and building this together. All right. So once you understand this earlier on, like what Raymond have shared, we actually continue to build on our DAPP, grow our digital asset, multiply it. Why? Because this digital asset is really as good as when Bitcoin, like 10, 11, 12 years ago, right? When it first came out, nobody know how much value, what they could do with it and everything until right now. And really, if you want Bitcoin to actually multiply another 10 folds, 100 folds, I think it's pretty difficult. But what happened here is that if we are looking at having a digital asset that we hold today, and we actually connect into the whole entire travel ecosystem, the travel platform, and how we can actually build it and create that value together, this is really something very exciting. You can continue to build on that as well. But of course, the next option is that after today, you look at this whole entire platform of the new APP with building the consumer, how you can actually benefit and riding on this so-called consumer base as we actually build on, you can actually participate here. So the other third option, of course, is like myself and Raymond or some of your friends who invited you. They might be actually doing both, right? Like us, we want to actually have both. Why? Because we already have our digital asset. We want to continue to grow it, multiply it, and then eventually as we travel the world, we can actually use that as well. And then when you actually have this app that you actually grow your consumer base, this whole interlink. But we haven't reached the end point. The end state really is when we actually have our whole entire blockchain for the travel industry that is connecting this whole entire phase 1, phase 2 into the phase 3. So when that happens, you can literally then see the whole value of our CYTT, the digital asset, appreciate even more because the ability to connect to the whole entire world for the travel industry. Okay, so once you understand this whole entire thing, and I hope really myself and Raymond tonight have given you guys a good overview and perspective of what we are building here. All right, so let's open up the floor for some Q&A, or anything that you guys want to actually ask in particular to this whole entire U2 app, and all that. How do we actually can leverage on this and help each other, in the midst of this pandemic, still grow this base together so that we can actually go out there and capture eventual of this flourish market of the travel industry. Okay.
All right,
So,
thank you, big brother James.
all
Thank you so much.
right.
Yeah, it's been so exciting. I mean, it's like so-called, yeah. I mean, it's like so-called my eyes was actually like so-called opening up when I saw all the latest update from the IT team. And yes, I think these are all really, really cool updates that we are all having. And definitely right now, yes, I would need if anyone with any questions, yes, please key in onto the chat box so that we are able to answer to your inquiries. I mean, of course, at this moment, while we actually key in, then we can actually speak to every one of you. So we were actually speaking to Dr. James just a couple of days ago. I mean, a lot of exciting things are coming up. I mean, some questions are people always ask things like, hey, so when are we seeing things like staycation in our U2, in our CYTT as well? Yeah, so just to let you know, I mean, it's like so-called, we have really gotten all this hotel that is already in hand, okay, which Dr. James has actually mentioned to us. And then, I mean, he has really purchased all these hotel rooms and he's only telling us things like so-called, it really depends on each individual countries when the borders, I mean, it's like, okay, it's not only when the borders, because borders opening is actually for the overseas, but even we are talking about things like staycation, all right? Okay, so whenever if your country is able to start opening up, and then yes, not to worry, okay, the company would be actually putting up all these trips inside. But nevertheless, I mean, we are all working towards the travel borders opening. But I think right now, this the most important thing is this is actually one of the best opportunity that we are all seeing right now, that we are able to, I mean, it's like so-called to build up this visionary phase. I mean, it's like so-called, it's not only visionary because this is where we're going to turn it into reality because this is actually travel, correct or not?
I mean,
Yeah.
we are
So
really
any
betting
questions?
on the travel industry, basically. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So,
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So there's also a few things like probably just to let you know, you might be thinking, hey, so even if I become an agent, how exciting is that going to be? As we have actually mentioned earlier on, I mean, it's like so-called, I mean, Dr. James and his team, OMT Group, they are actually a wholesale company. So what we'll be receiving in our YouTube app is going to be all this experiential curated trip near I mean, it's like so-called wholesale price we are talking about. Okay, so see, the thing is like there's actually a few different. I mean, many people be thinking, hey, so what? When I become an agent, so why should my friend be downloading? Okay, first thing first. First reason, because your friend get excited. They saw really like so-called experiential trip. They want to join in. Probably what happened if they're able to see things like 99 US dollar, things like so-called Bali trip or even Phuket trip. I mean, these are something where they can actually get attracted and they want to join in. And the first question is like so-called, would they go alone? The answer is they wouldn't go alone. They would actually invite more friends to go with them. So they can have actually got two options. They can actually take the money from their friends, so they can actually book it for like 3 packs on their apps and go. Another option is he or she could actually pass their link to their friends, and when three of them spend money, you are able to enjoy 8%. Okay, if you are an agent. All right. So I want you to understand this is actually exciting. It's huge. It's massive. Okay. And I mean, of course, the company will be giving more support along the way. It's like, hey, probably even for your friends, okay, if they were to download it, okay. So if they were to get more friends to download it, okay, we'll be actually offering things like so-called in the future, we'll be actually offering things like so-called vouchers. Probably if they get like 100 or 200 friends to download, we could be probably giving them things like 30 U2 coins, okay? So which means instead of them paying things like 99, they could actually offset $30 and they only need to pay 69. So do you think your friend would be so excited and start sharing more friends? The answer is yes. If three of them were to get 100 people each to download, all 300 of them, when they would spend money, you are able to enjoy 8% out of it. Isn't that amazing? So I mean, we have a lot of strong support from the company. All we need to do right now is let's build the momentum right. Let's build the fundamental right. And that's what our goal is all about. So the rest of the thing, leave it to the company to manage it, leave it to the government to handle it. And then if I were you right now, this is the best time where
We
you
just
can
have to
actually
connect
build
to the
this.
consumers.
Exactly. So if you were to ask me, hey, Ray, how can we actually build this business? Very simple. You see how your friend actually invited you into a call like this. Do exactly the same thing. Okay, you could just invite your friend into a call like this, and then that's how we start building it globally. I mean, during this period of time, you might be asking, hey, I mean, just now Raymond earlier on, you were actually mentioning things like so-called we have more than 50,000 global people. I mean, global user, and how do you actually build it online? Yeah, so can you imagine we are only building it online? Can you imagine if we start meeting face to face in person when when the world is ready again? Can you imagine how explosive this business is going to be? This is going to be really massive. Yeah. All right, so I think no question from any one of them shows that everybody has really gotten the latest update today. So with that, we really thank you everyone for your time. Yes, I mean, it's like so-called let's continue to rock. All right, so if you